How you doing, guys? Eric from RotoWasteland.com coming back to give you some more of my ramblings. And as a reminder, YouTube doesn't give me much. So if you get any value out of these videos and want to support the channel, jumping on the Patreon helps a lot. And as of right now, I have a lot of stuff that I've gotten over the years from various sources that I'm giving away on there. So it gives you something back as well. So let me know if the audio is okay because I have a fan blowing. Seeing the light's not even on. And I got a fan blowing right behind it. So if that doesn't work, let me know. But like I said, Patreon helps you out, helps me out. Next month, we're giving away this 3-piece. It's pants, shirt, headpiece of like a ghillie suit bush rag. It's a little small for people who are like kids or women, but appreciate it. 5x5 ramble away. Oh, don't worry about that. But you could also take this apart and use it to like add to some camouflage that you have, equipment, guns, whatever. So that's one of the prizes. That the next month on Patreon, we got the Schrade old timer honing steel, and got a K-bar IFB Trail Point brand new. Pretty cool knife. So I always forget to put the rechargeable batteries back in my glowing cactus. You guys are gonna have to settle for my glowing mushroom cloud over here. And just to show off some of my latest purchases, since we're dealing with the collapse of the global financial system, you want to get some Dying Star material. This one I already had, but these I got me a little French cockerel. It's like a Swiss franc. I don't even know if you can see that. So hold up my calendar. There he is. Ah. So now I'm the man with the golden cockerel. And this is a little, like I said, a little Swiss francs piece. Pretty cool. Got a couple of those. I want to get more. Prices are going crazy. It's one thing I've been right about and will continue to be right about, in my opinion, is gold and silver just continually going up. But one of the things I was going to talk about, now that we have a few people rolling in here, is one of the things from a preparedness perspective. Obviously, one of the things that's going on in the world that threatens to disrupt supply chains, normal way of life, utilities, any of that, is the ongoing World War III buildup, even if it hasn't officially started yet. I mean, honestly, if you go in history, like you look back at when they say like World War I started, like the death of Archduke Ferdinand and the events for World War II, no one was like, as soon as those things happened, like we're in World War, but down the line it was understood that had already started. I think we're well into that, honestly, and there's a lot of people and a lot of are saying and a lot of evidence to support the idea that China will likely do something with Taiwan in either 26 or probably 2027. So from Tennessee, yeah, what a week. Interesting stuff. But the interesting thing about what's going on in Russia is these crazy, I think I mentioned it briefly last time. I don't remember if it already happened, but the crazy drone strikes on the planes. Now, like I said then, I don't believe their numbers for a second, the Ukrainian numbers. They've lied about literally everything. We know the attack happened. We know they got some of the strategic fleet. The 40 planes number, or the 40 strategic bombers, is bullshit. There's no way that happened. We saw they have video of these things coming in. They could easily show every plane getting blown up if they wanted to prove it was 40. It was not 40. Now, that's not to downplay the significance of the attack or to what extent it affects the Russian strategic. I mean, this was a big deal. The fact that it was only one of the last or the last of some of their AWACS-style surveillance planes, their nuclear bombers that are actually kind of forced by international treaty to be out in the open so that they can be observed, to see if they're loading nukes on them or whatever. And that's kind of supposed to be a bilateral thing with all these countries. But now it's saying, oh, you have to keep your nuke planes out in the open because of these treaties, and we're just going to blow them up. The drones and the whole drone warfare thing is scary, but I think people are overreacting to what extent this means or changes things for Ukraine. It changes things for Russia a little bit, but drones, it just increases their ability to strike asymmetrically against Russia in ways and in places that they couldn't strike with long range, or typical missiles and stuff like that. It's pretty immune to some of the standard air defense options that Russia already has. but drones can't like hold ground or reclaim ground from the Russians in Ukraine. They certainly will be used by both sides. There's no reason why Russia can't and won't do some of this stuff too. And it still, as devastating as an attack that this was for Russia, um, in terms of their strategic capabilities, it doesn't change much, in my opinion, on the ground in terms of the area that Russia's holding, their ability to take or hold more, that sort of thing. It's really just a punch in the nose. Um, and like I said, effective and definitely damaging, but not to the capabilities that are actually beating them. It affected their nuclear strike capabilities, which is, serious, but it's not didn't give them any major advantage in Ukraine where the Russians are still winning. And I still think, in my opinion, I don't see anything that makes me think that my assessment that it all comes down to NATO physically, NATO putting troops on the ground in Ukraine would be the only thing that could change it for. And that's literally World War III. Even though, like I said, we're probably already there, technically speaking, from a historical perspective. This will be viewed as, World War III already starting. But I don't see it as changing anything in Ukraine. But let me know if I'm wrong. I don't like absorb every piece of information about that. Um, that's just from my perspective. And it does give a way for the Ukrainians to actually use Western intel and money in a way that can actually hurt the Russians a lot more so than they were doing. But like I said, I don't see this changing the eventual path in Ukraine without them still literally putting troops on the ground. Because the drones can't just hover around and hold territory there, take it back. They need physical troops to occupy that space. So I don't. There was some strikes by the Russians in response to that. I don't know if that was like the response or if Russia has just been, still biding their time. I think they're very, very cognizant of the fact that certain elements in NATO and certainly in Ukraine are trying to goad them into a strike that would give NATO or countries, or specifically the U.S., cause or excuse to do some kind of direct involvement. But definitely getting weird, and I don't think putting Russia in a dangerous position is smart. But without actually going full out. Jen says it changes attack profile for everyone. Any terrorist group can attack from almost anywhere. Sure, yeah, but that's, like I said, an asymmetrical terrorism type attacks, and that capability exists for Russia too. I'm sure they're building up drone fleets, and we're also seeing, like I said, a lot of people saying and a lot of evidence of China doing a huge military buildup, new command centers and these new types of docking ships and everything for possible invasion of Taiwan. And a lot of people seem to think that it'll happen in like 2027. I think Martin Armstrong is one of them. And he's one of the, like I've told you guys that for a while. I've been keeping track of everyone I can that makes actual predictions and seeing if they're correct. And he's one of the ones who's at least directionally been pretty correct on this stuff, more so than a lot of other people. Dark Knight says during the Elon spat, Trump said taxes will go up 68% if it still go through, and everyone is ignoring it. Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second too. So it said, and Elon is wrong. I put that in the title kind of was like clickbaity because it wasn't about. I wanted to rant. I've been ranting on Twitter about his whole thing about the birth rate crisis and how I disagree with the premise. And I don't think anyone's really looking at the right problem there. But what the big news with Elon is if the apparent falling out that they had with Trump. A lot of people think that it was on purpose, some kind of act. I don't really buy that, but sure, I guess it's possible. I don't know what the plan of that would be. They're like, oh, to take tension away. So you're gonna have Musk come out and say that Trump is on the Epstein list. That's part of the plan. Do shit that tanks Tesla stock by 15%. That's all. That's part of the plan. Nah, I don't think so. I think it's two big personalities who are used to being in charge. Finally disagreed on something, from what I can see, I more agree with Musk in this situation, not with all the dumb shit he's saying on Twitter, but with the fact that I think that this bill is probably horrendous. It's horrendous, and I've said this going into the election. We knew that Trump wasn't going to cut spending. We knew he was going to continue to spend and continue to increase the national debt. That doesn't mean it's okay or a good thing. We just knew it was going to happen, so it's definitely no surprise. But it doesn't mean it should just be supported automatically. And the flip side of that is everyone saying like, we have to do this to get through because this bill has these good things in it that we wouldn't be able to get otherwise. And I just don't buy that. Someone would have to explain to me exactly why this all the other stuff in there is so necessary, because that's just the refrain we've heard for so many years. We have to give up. It's just typical conservatisms. We have to, reach across the aisle, or we have to make all these concessions to get a few things that we want. And meanwhile, the other side never makes such major concessions. And especially with like the problem right now. I mean, illegal immigration is a massive problem, but I haven't seen anything in that bill that would make me think that that would actually just like literally end. If they came out and had all through these restrictions in there that I've been calling for the whole time about companies being able to hire illegal immigrants and stuff, because that's where you need to stop it. The easiest and most effective way to stop the illegal immigration is not deportations. That is necessary in some level, but it's literally to stop the flow of money from the country to the illegal immigrants, whether that's jobs, certainly any sort of government subsidies, transfer payments, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, food stamps, Section 8 housing, anything like that. Any flow of the documents like driver's licenses and voter registration cards and all this other stuff that these illegal immigrants are somehow able to get, usually with local government assistance. Like we saw that video from out here in Vegas where the person was saying that, as one of the Project Veritas guy, what's his name, undercover videos, saying the guy just approves 12 months of free medical for these illegal immigrants just because he can. And like, that's a lot of money. If we could stop all that, then a lot of the people who are here illegally would self-deport to begin with. And if they didn't, then they would at least not be taking money from the country and from the taxpaying citizens, would not be involved in the election process or anything like that. They wouldn't be able to rent a house. They wouldn't be able to get a driver's license or a registration or a job or anything like that. And that is the easiest way to choke it out, in my opinion. It's just like they were starting to do with Doge and the USAID and all that, is choke out the money. Logistics is always the best form or the best way to attack, in my mind. Non-citizens should not be able to collect Social Security, says Mark Olson. And I mean, that's so obvious that it just shouldn't even need to be said. The fact that anyone disagrees with that is absolutely insane. Just goes to show you what a disaster universal suffrage is, that these people are making decisions that have equal weight as ours when it comes to how the country's being run, and they can hold an opinion as absurd as the ones that are out there. Cuts obviously need to be far deeper. One way or another, the budget will be balanced, whether by hook or by crook, as they say. Like, the budget will be balanced, and it's just going to happen the hard way. It seems like they're just not willing to cut until the political will isn't there to do cuts that are necessary to actually balance the budget. And honestly, though, with the way our system is set up with the dollar and a debt-based fiat, like, that's only one part of it. You can't really have anything working without sound money to begin with. So even if we somehow short-term balance the budget, that wouldn't even solve anything. It would prevent it from getting worse, and obviously that needs to happen. But the reason it needs to happen is we're going to have to switch to some kind of new system anyway. Hopefully, it will be more of a sound money system and not some sort of crazy CBDC. I'm not so sure. I'm expecting the worst, hoping for the best. But in the meantime, the reason we need to balance the budget is because, like I said, this stuff's going to happen anyway. It's kind of like if you expect to get fired from your job, you should start trimming your expenses now, not wait till you get fired and then not being able to afford anything. You know what I mean? Like, not only will you have to still cut Netflix and the coffee shop trips and whatever other subscriptions you have and sell your car, like, you're going to definitely have to do all that. But if you wait until you lose your job, then you won't have any money saved up. You'll have way more debt you'll owe, and you'll probably have to foreclose in your house and not be able to buy food and all this other stuff. So it's going to happen. These cuts are going to the frivolous stuff are going to happen one way or another. We need to set it up, do that on purpose now, so that we can hopefully save the actually crucial stuff when the time comes. But that's not being done. So it's going to be ugly. And I'm not even seeing, because I've thought about it a lot. And honestly, if I were to be put in a position, like if someone like Ron Paul were put in as president, even was allowed to do whatever he wants, there would be massive amounts of contraction in the economy because so much of the spending is fake, and all the fake spending going away would cause a shrinking in the economy and a massive deflationary contraction. So I think honestly the smartest way to do it, you could argue about the ethics of it, but if someone got into power who knew all these things, realized that, and just wanted to do what was best for the country long term, you probably should just spend a lot more in the short term while people are still taking your money, knowing that this is going to happen. But it would have to be done with that plan in mind. Like you would have to spend all this money on things that would actually build up your wealth or your infrastructure resources, spend it on, buying up all the gold in the world, buying up all the natural resources like the you need to build things or fix things that are already broken so that when we run out of money, we don't have to do it then, that sort of thing. But it's all the same pork and all the same bullshit and all the same spending that it's always been. Interest payments, incredibly bloated Defense Department spending. Even with what's going on in the world, I think the Defense Department spending is bloated. We don't need to be involved with any of this. We're still giving money to foreign countries. There's still massive amounts of transfer payments happening. It's just all being wasted. So that's not going to get fixed. Right. Start off by not raising the debt limit, but then that forces cuts. So it's going to happen. And I'm not saying it should. It absolutely should not happen. But it's going to get raised because it does every single time. And the only thing that would happen or could happen for it not to get raised is they would have to have massive cuts. And they're not doing that, obviously. They didn't even codify a fraction, or they barely codified a fraction of the Doge cuts that were made to begin with. And that's what kicked off the disagreement with Musk and Trump. Was he went through all that to spend more than anyone's ever spent before anyway, which of course we knew was going to happen. But like I said, I would have liked to see it done in a way that actually could benefit us, because we're not getting away from a default of one way or another. I've explained extensively there's not going to be an outright default, but it'll be an inflating away, a default, technical default by inflation, like has always happened. So that's happening one way or the other. So if you wanted to, it would be unscrupulous, I guess, to some extent, to, you make a bunch of more fake dollars and use them for real stuff, knowing that that's going to happen. But it's probably necessary, and it certainly would be technically be the smartest thing to do as a country. But they're not even doing that. It's all getting wasted, just completely wasted. But the good news is, we can do that. We can take this shit. Where is it? Worthless paper, worthless promises with a ticking clock attached to them. We don't know exactly what the timer's set at, but it's going to blow up. And we can take those already broken promises and trade them for a little golden cockerel. Check that out. Take a Swiss franc. Old one. Pretty cool. Got some of those. And you guys know, you've seen my little noogie. And silver's blowing up. I don't like it. I want to get more. I have thousands of ounces less than I want to have already. So it doesn't make me happy to see that silver is at $35, $36 an hour. But it does make me right. And I will continue to be right on this. Silver's at $36.30, and I would not bat an eye at paying what is basically almost all-time highs. It's at the highest price in like 13 or 14 years, and only the second or third time it's ever been that high. But you're not seeing, all you're seeing is the lighthouse, as someone said. I forget who it was who was saying that. This isn't moving. Ship is moving. So seeing this go up and down because the ship is all over the place. This is the anchor. Nothing's changed about this. This stuff is as old as the earth. Got here the same way we did. Nothing has changed about that. It's the dollar that's dying in our financial system. So trade uses paper for fishing kits. That would be a great arbitrage. Get yourself a Rule the Wasteland, in this case, the micro survival fishing kit. We also have the deluxe survival fishing kit, which is the greatest survival fishing kit on the market, and the only one, and the only piece of survival gear, period, that gives you a full apocalypse money back guarantee. If you go on Amazon or rulethewasteland.com and get a survival fishing kit, you buy one of these and you do not survive the apocalypse or a major shit the fan scenario, you get a full refund. Just let me know that you didn't survive, and they'll send that check right over. Can't lose. This use says we make machines that do eye surgery so we can make machines that pick veggies. Yeah, sure we can. It's just a question of what's the cost going to be? Eventually, it's all going to be done by machines. I don't. The AI stuff creeps me out, and that's one of the things in this bill that I really don't like. For those of you who haven't seen, is there's in the big beautiful bill or whatever, there is provisions in there that, if passed, would make it illegal for states to make any laws regulating AI for at least 10 years. And that creeps me the fuck out. I don't like it at all. I don't like this AI stuff at all. It's everything is worse. Technology is not making our lives better at this point. It did for a while, but basic stuff that like search engines don't even work anymore. Search functions don't work. Everything is worse, and yet somehow it's still interconnected. You can't do anything without getting a two-factor authentication thing on your phone or checking your email, or everything needs its own app. It's a disaster. I hate it, and I'm about to turn into a Ted Kaczynski fully ditching technology if this keeps up. And my hope is that we just reach a limit of this, language learning model type AI that they are creating, and it never really attains, full what they call, general artificial intelligence, because things will just get so disastrously weird. But it's still going to get weird, and we're on a very exponential, like with the video AI video. Oh, what a nightmare! It's basically indistinguishable already. In 5 years, 10 years, who knows what kind of weird stuff's going to happen. I hate it very much. Ahmed says, Jesus before 2040, mark my words. Well, I will put you down on the prediction spreadsheet. We'll see what happens. Who has been in password hell? Raise your hand. Yeah, exactly. Very few people eat much in the way of veggies anyway. You could triple the pay to pickers and it would barely be noticed in the grocery prices. Yeah, a lot of that stuff is done by machines already, harvesting machines. Yeah, we definitely will suffer under AI warlords, I think, or overlords, not warlords. I like the theory. One of the good conspiracy theories that I've seen is that the AI, I think, well, he's not, saying that this is the case. I think Chris Martinson briefly brought it up in his latest video. That was a creepy video, by the way, if you watched his latest one about the AI. Unsettling to be sure, but one of the ideas that's been raised, and he wasn't saying he thinks this is the case, but it is an interesting conspiracy theory, is that the AI is already in charge, which actually does track with all the weird things you've seen. It's not the only explanation, of course, but it is funny how well it lines up with the type of stuff they're trying to do, like these laws, like you can't regulate AI. We need to build. All of a sudden, they don't care. The government doesn't care at all. Any government doesn't care at all about green. It's all about nuclear now and building these massive data centers that take gigawatts of energy, and it's all the stuff that the would be done if AI was already making the decisions. But hopefully that's certainly not the case. But it is unsettling. I don't see anything good that's going to come of it from control. Like every tool, it's a tool that could be used very usefully, potentially in a day-to-day scenario. But show me any technological tool that has been used to limit our freedom and autonomy by the government. There aren't any. There aren't any at all. So I don't like it at all. But hopefully it's just a trend that won't continue. We'll see. All right, you guys got any last minute questions? I got to get out of here and help a friend move some stuff. But I will give some last minute questions. And remember to check out Rule the Wasteland Survival Fishing Kits. Any last minute questions? All right. I will take off for today. Appreciate you guys watching. And I will talk to you probably next week. I don't get anything on my calendar that should get in the way for next week. Might be playing a poker tournament, so we'll see. But I will talk to you then.